Okay, so this video is on function notation. Equations can be written in a form called function notation. We use this as a quick way to evaluate functions for a given input. So for example, if you had y equals 2x minus 8, all you would do is replace that y with an f, parentheses x, and then you would rewrite that 2x minus 8. Okay? This right here is called function notation, and it's read f of x. So those parentheses kind of give you the word of an of. Okay? So when you evaluate a function for a specific value, you're going to substitute that value in for x. Okay? So on all these problems, they're going to give you an x value, and you're going to substitute in. When you substitute with parentheses. Okay? All right. So let's look at a couple of examples. We're going to do A and B on these just to save us some time. Okay, so number one says f of x equals x plus 7. So what I want to do is notice the number in the parentheses is your x value. So I want to substitute in x for a 5. So I would rewrite 5 plus 7, and then I'm done. So I would do 5 plus 7 and get 12. Okay, so that value at 5 is a 12. Okay, same thing for a negative 1. You're going to input negative 1 where that x is. So you would have negative 1 plus 7, and negative 1 plus 7 is a 6. Okay, so those are the easiest types of substitution problems, and they do get a little bit harder. So on the next one, we have g of x equals 3x minus 8. So I notice that when I have a 3 and an x right beside each other, that operation is multiplying. So what you're going to have to do is input 1 where the x is. So first you would write 3, and then you are inputting an x value, so we kind of leave parentheses there. So I want to input 1, and then I would do subtract 8. Okay, so you would type that in just like it looks in your calculator. So let me show you guys how to do that. So you would do 3 parentheses 1, and then you would do subtract 8. So if you do that with me, you should have gotten a negative 5. Okay. When I input a negative 3, same thing, I'm going to input that negative 3 where it goes. So I would start off with a 3. I need to input my x value, which was a negative 3, and then subtract 8. Okay? So 3 times negative 3 is negative 9, and then negative 9 minus 8 is negative 17. Or you could type that in the calculator like we did before and get that same answer. Okay? Alright, so let's look at the next problems. So again, we're only going to do the first 2 to save us some time. Okay? Remember to do a fraction, you're going to hit the alpha button, which is green. So green button, y equals, and enter to get this little fraction bar pulled up. But what you would do, you would substitute in negative 3 right there. So you would have 2 over 3, parentheses negative 3, subtract 1. Okay, so when you do that, I'll give you a second. Should have got negative 3. Okay, so now the same thing, I'm going to input 0 up here. So I would have 2/3. I need to substitute 0 in for x, and then subtract 1. So if you do 2 divided by 3 times 0 is 0. Subtract 1 is negative 1. Okay, so let's look at number 4. A little bit harder because you have 2 x values, okay? So anytime you see 2 x values, you're going to have to substitute something in twice. So the most important thing is you have to put parentheses when it is squared, or your calculator will give you the wrong answer, okay? So if I want x squared, I'm going to have to do negative 4 squared. So you're going to have parentheses around your x value with the squared on the outside. And then you're going to do a subtraction sign. And then it wants you to input x again. So x was negative 4, so I would have parentheses. Okay, so let's try typing that in. I'll show you how to do that. So you would hit parentheses, -4. Okay, you can choose to raise it with this little button over here, or you could hit the squared button. I'm going to raise it to the 2. And then I'm going to hit subtract, parentheses, -4. Okay, so you should have gotten 20. So that answer would equal 20. Okay, so remember, anything squared is the same as multiplying by itself. So what's happening is they're doing -4 times -4 to get you a 16 right here. And then you're subtracting a -4, which is really adding 4, and that's how they got 20. Okay, let's try substituting this -1 in up here. So again, you're going to have parentheses around the -1 and then squared. Subtract, you need the x value, so -1. Okay, so I'll show you how to type that in using the squared button now. So parentheses, -1, parentheses, squared, minus parentheses, -1. Okay, so we should have gotten a 2. Okay, all right, let's take a look at number 5 now. So number 5, we're only going to do the first 2 again to save some time. Okay, so on this one, I need to input -4 in for that x squared. So I would first start off with a 3, and then I need to input -4. Squared goes on the outside, and then bring down that +7. Okay, so in your calculator, you would do 3 parentheses -4 squared +7. And you should get 55. So if you did not get 55, please raise your hand so I can help you out. And we're actually going to skip B to save some time on that one. Let's look at number 6. So on 6, notice again that you've got 2 x values. Okay, so I'm going to be substituting in something twice. This negative might throw you off, so I'm going to go ahead and put a -1. Okay, so that problem is -1x squared plus 6x minus 4. So I'm going to substitute in -3 there and -3 there in parentheses. So I would start off with -1, and then they want me to input my x value, which was -3. Then I would hit squared. Plus 6, again they want you to input the x value, which was a -3, and then add on, subtract 4. Okay, so now we would have to type that in the calculator just how it looks. So you'd hit -1, parentheses, -3, parentheses, squared, plus 6, parentheses, -3, parentheses, subtract 4. So you should get -31. Okay. All right, why don't you try B on your own? Press pause, and then I will give out the answer. I typed in the calculator, I typed -1, parentheses, I substituted in -1, squared on the outside, plus 6, again, substituted -1, subtracted 4, and you should get a +1. Okay, again, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we're going to move on to the last couple of problems. For time's sake, we're going to skip 7. We are only going to do A, and we're only going to do A of this one down here. Okay, so first I start off with the 2, subtract 4x. So I would input -5 here and get 2 minus 4, and then input your -5. Once you type that in, you should do 2 minus 4 parentheses -5 to get 22. Okay. Same thing here on number 9. You're going to input -8 twice like we did before. So we'd start off with 2 parentheses -8 squared plus 4 parentheses -8 and then subtract 9. Let's type that in together. Squared plus 4 times -8 minus 9. You should have gotten 87. Okay. All right, let's take a look at this last one. These little bars right here are called absolute value bars. Okay. How you get them in the calculator is by doing math, hitting the right arrow, and then enter. So let's do that together. I'll move this over here. So I will hit the math button, which is right below the green button. I will go over with this arrow key, and then ABS stands for absolute value, so I will hit enter. In your calculator, you should see the bars, but mine says ABS, okay? So once we do that, we're going to substitute in like we did before. So for time's sake, we'll do this first one. I'm going to input 4 there and a 4 there. So I would have the absolute value bar, 4 minus 4 squared. Now I put that second 4 in parentheses because it was squared. Okay, so now I would type that in the calculator. So 4 minus parentheses 4 squared, and you should get 12. Okay, so now let's input this -7 in here as well. So you'd have the absolute value bars with a -7, subtract -7 in parentheses because it's squared. I'll give you a second to do that. Again, you go math over enter. So -7 subtract parentheses -7 squared would give us 56. Okay. Okie doke, let's take a look at some real-world examples. So, in this real-world example, it says an anthropologist uses the length of certain bones of a human skeleton to estimate the height of a living person. One of those bones is the femur. To estimate the height in centimeters of a female with a femur length of x, so x means femur length, this function can be used. So find h of 46. So again, that wants us to plug in 46 in for x. So you'd have 61.41 plus 2.32 times 46. So when we type that in the calculator, I did that wrong. You should get 168.13. Okay, what does that mean? So that is the height of a female with a femur length of 46. Okay, so that's how tall someone is if they have a femur length of 46 centimeters, okay? Last problem. So they're going to give you a graph, and they're going to tell you to find the value of f of x. So again, notice that these are x values inside of the parenthesis, okay? So what we're going to do is go to where x is a -4. So x is a -4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here is where x is a -4. Now I need to plot the point on the line when x is -4. So here is the point on that line. Okay, so I went up 2 from that point, so then this y value is a 2. Okay, now I need to go where x is a 0. So I will go to where x is a 0, which is right here, and notice it hits the line already. So I'm just going to make a point there. And so that means that y value is at a 0. Okay, go to where x is a 2. So here is where x is a 2. I need to go down 2 to hit that point on the line. And since I went down 2, it would be a -2. Lastly, I'm going to go where x is a 5, which is right here. I need to go down 1 to hit that line, so it would be -1. Okay, so that is how you find the y values if they give you the x values, okay? So that is a video on functions. Thanks for watching.